Hello everyone! Welcome to HDG Reviews, where it's all about the game and the points don't matter. Also, in HDG Reviews, I like to keep things short, sweet and simple, so if there are any questions, do feel free to comment in the comment sections. And here we go today with one of the games I've done a review on before and now has been upgraded. Godzilla PS4 edition, also known as Godzilla vs. in Japan. So for a start, let's have a little history of the game. Last December, Godzilla, the game, came out for Japan release only, and that was for the PS3. And with that game, what we got was more or less like a beta version, where there are only 2 modes were available, and we were only allowed to play as Godzilla. However, Diorama mode and 2014 Godzilla was still awesome to play with in King of Kaiju mode. So regardless of what happened, I was extremely pleased with how the game turned out, as it stayed true to its Godzilla roots. So fast forward to now, 8 months later, a simultaneous release for both American, European and Japanese version of the game, as well as the fact that it's on PS4. Now, am I happy with what I got? Well, the answer is a simple yes. And here we go into the review for the guys who are still not sure if you want to get it or not. First of all, we have the game modes. God of Destruction mode, a story mode where it allows you to play as Godzilla, and you get to relive the classic scene of Godzilla destroying civilization. The execution within the game is simple. You are Godzilla, you walk slow and steadily and have a small variety of moves at the start. You get more points if you manage to generate fury, which adds a multiplayer to your score, and with that score it will in turn translate into a growing Godzilla that you have. And is that simple enough? No, because the game has its little technicalities that you have to learn and make use of, as do many other action games. You have to plan the route Godzilla takes in every map to generate the max fury combo. You need to play certain story path that allows you to get more G energy, and then all this G energy that you have gotten will bring you to a size of over 100 meters, where only then you will unlock the final bonus stage that nets you the Burning Godzilla unlock. Now, God of Destruction mode didn't change much in transition, but here is what has been added as an upgrade. There are now 2 more other options within God of Destruction. Why? Because finally, we get to play as other kaijus in the series. You know, this meant so much to me that I really had no regrets getting the game when I saw what was up after playing Destruction mode for the first time. The new modes now are Invade, which is the same as Godzilla going ashore, just that this time you do the rampaging and monsters dueling using a kaiju that is against humanity. Next up, we have Defend, where we are to use a kaiju that is with humanity. You are humanity's ally, and you fight off other kaijus that are attacking our land. This mode is even simpler and faster because this is the exact opposite of God of Destruction mode, as it pits you immediately with the task of defeating an enemy kaiju on the battlefield without getting too many things destroyed. Now, why would you play Destruction mode more than one time, even though there are so many kaijus for you to play with? Well, for starters, in order to make your Godzilla stronger, you will need to unlock monster parts. Much like in Monster Hunter and other grinding games, these upgrade parts are only dropped by defeating monsters or clearing a mode using that particular kaiju. Needless to say, the first replayability value of Godzilla lies in the fact that you have to play Destruction mode and defeat certain kaijus over and over again so that you can level up your kaiju with the drop parts. But the second replayable value in God of Destruction lies in the fact that every kaiju you own have their own evolution energy. It's like a currency. And the only way to get this evolution energy is to actually play that particular kaiju in Destruction mode. So in order for me to totally max out my King Ghidorah, I had to play Invade using King Ghidorah around 2 to 3 times. It's not a lot. And the clock timer for every clear range around 35 to over an hour, making the game feel much like an arcade game that I can enjoy once or twice a day. So single player replayability, checked. And up next, King of Kaiju Battle Mode. Well, 8 months ago, King of Kaiju only allowed you to play 2 characters, Godzilla and Godzilla 2014, also known as Hollywood Godzilla back then. Now and hooray! Again, we are allowed to play all 22 selected kaijus from an amazing roster, which each kaiju has their own speciality, weakness, and moveset. King Ghidorah is slow but has the ability to fly. Kiryu has the ability to dash sideways and shoots multiple projectiles. Destroyer has amazing reach with his Normus. And the list of differences goes on. The fear of you being in a Godzilla movie has not only been brought into Destruction mode, it was also brought into King of Kaiju mode this time. Because with its 1 versus 1 battles, think of it as an arcade fighting game of 6 matches, which pits you against different monsters every round with progressive difficulty. The mode itself nets you evolution parts from the different monsters that you defeat, but it's a little short on length and replayability as it does not unlock any evolution energy for upgrades. However, you can treat it like a training mode, where you test out all the different tricks of every monsters you play with. Well, next, their AI mode isn't that strong in the game, as in the King of Kaiju, and the purpose of the mode is more like a time attack. So it's fun to see the scores of other people online, or you can use it for a little short gaming breaks, as well as it being the perfect mode for your little ones to play with, since they can likely win simply by mashing. And interactive gameplay for this game? Check. So up next, it's the most fun mode I've ever had in a giant monster game, period. Versus mode. Now I'll try to summarize why I'm so happy with versus mode and make things short. First of all, it's different from every other Godzilla Rumble games that you have played since the start of time. This is a game that had me getting feels from every single Godzilla movie I've seen to date simply by playing the monster. And that very feels has been brought into this versus mode as well. The little bits and pieces of differences you get in the game itself, you can feel it if you are a big time Godzilla fan. Some things like how Hedorah is weak to beam attacks, less so to melee, how Destroyer huge size gave him a good edge in fights due to his long reach, and how Super Mecha Godzilla can fly is partially beam resistant. Well, these little things in a Rumble game is what made this Godzilla game the best of the lot so far. By that I mean, when you're fighting a human player using every different monster, there are matchups and little tidbits of information from all the old movies that you have to use to gain an edge over your opponent. You will never outclass a Kiryu in his speed. And King Ghidorah's roar lasts so long. It's never a good idea to do a long range move while he is roaring. Always try to get away from Violante. This mind games from everyone online, you will be able to tell when you are playing, and it's really fun and intense as we move on to talk about the next mode. 3-player versus mode. Basically a triple threat mode that makes my heart pumping almost every time I get into a good game. 3-player versus mode, as its name suggests, is a versus mode that pits 3 kaijus against one another. No, you did not hear it wrong. It's an odd number, and there's only one winner every single time. This mode has evolved into a slow-paced kaiju rumble game to something pretty extraordinary in my opinion. I'd give a good pat to whoever thought of that idea, because he probably was thinking, we don't need a 4-man Royal Rumble, that'd make things 2v2. What we really want is a triple threat situation that forces the hardest decision in players all the time. That first decision is, who the hell do you want to attack? I've seen so many things happen in this mode, it's almost hilarious. I've got 2 Angular gang out on me as a King Ghidorah before, simply because they were both the same kaiju. I fought that with my back to the wall and made quite the impression. I've had myself in a match where the first attack only came after a good 5 minutes because nobody wanted to make the first move and it was open space everywhere. I've had another where I had to keep dueling a Mecha King Ghidorah as King Ghidorah, while a Super Mecha Godzilla just flies around and wait for the fight to end. Nevertheless, the goal is to kill all your enemies. So halfway through the match, we kind of decided to kill off the Mecha Godzilla running away first, since all he wanted to do was just wait there. Now, the list of funny and interesting things happening is endless, because I've never had a game, aside from wrestling game, that had a triple threat mode like that. And with that being said, this feels exactly like a giant kaiju wrestling mode that is a dream come true, with matchup, strategies, mind games and all. But not all things of course are good within versus mode. And with that being said, I'm referring to the issue of lag and latency. Well, a great game comes when there is no lag, but ever so often you get a game where the game stutters and it makes life so difficult just watching 3 kaiju struggling to hit each other due to lag. But aside from lag though, everything else is near perfect, and what you leveled and earn in destruction mode gets carried over into a versus mode. So the higher level your kaijus are, the better chances of you winning in versus. Well, that's it for all the playable modes in Godzilla. But no guys, things doesn't just stop here for the game. There are still 2 more modes which are retained in the original and made even easier to unlock and access to. Diorama mode, the mode where you play with Godzilla figures as a big man and put them in really cool poses facing one another to take really cool pictures. This mode honestly was made for pure fan service, and I personally think it did a great job in doing so. And because thanks to it, I am able to take really cool pictures of my favorite monsters in battle stance going at it against one another and watching them close up in high definition now that it's in the PlayStation 4. And what's more, in order to unlock the figurines, you have to use the evolution parts that you get in other modes to do so, making you play even more of Godzilla if you have the intent to collect all of the figures. There are much more things to explain in Diorama mode, but I'll leave that to you guys to figure it out, because there are things like color and non-color films to gain special effects and such. There are even a firing effect and all. And finally, the final mode that I've yet to touch on is one of the best modes for fans new and old, because now we are going into the legendary Kaiju Guide. I'm glad the Kaiju Guide got ported over whole and wonderfully done by the localization team, because for a moment there I thought it would have been taken out due to the large amount of information somebody had to translate. But hey, worry no more. Kaiju Guide, the master guide to all monsters that we have been that have appeared in all of the Godzilla movies, are telling you the little tidbits of them and where they first appeared. It's here. Take note of Kaiser King Ghidorah there, my favorite of them all due to its huge size and also the way him and Godzilla brought in Godzilla Final Wars. But yes, with the Kaiju Guide, you get to enjoy lots of information in one glance. And if you're not familiar with some of the monsters, you can probably spend some time reading up on them whenever you are interested to see how interesting the Godzilla series were up to now. And with that being said, we just covered all the modes in the game Godzilla 2014. Now, it's time to go into the little issues that I personally have in Godzilla 2014. These things are important as well, since these are things that will turn you off the game if you're not careful. First of all, the game is repetitive on its own, that's a fact. They establish a healthy game cycle where you play God of Destruction, earn points, upgrade Godzilla, then go back to God of Destruction so you can destroy things better and faster in God of Destruction. The cycle is perfect, but there's one problem for the casuals, and I mean really casual players. It does get repetitive. Sure, the mode is an amazing service to all the fans out there, and as a Godzilla was known for beating all of humanity's weaponry thrown at him all the time and being near indestructible, the game portrays that perfectly well. But destroying buildings hour after hour just to upgrade all your attacks, if you are a person who is not into grinding every other monster in the game, you will probably fall off God of Destruction mode halfway and get bored of it. well, at least there is a save mode in between for you to resume your progress, but still, chances are of people getting bored. I can totally see that in casual gamers and non-Godzilla fans. Well, I personally enjoy playing God of Destruction mode every other day so as to increase my score to get into the top 100 of Godzilla rankings. Currently, as it stands, I'm ranked number 20 in the leaderboards and I definitely can do even better. But otherwise, you really will get bored of God of Destruction as you grind through it for your evolution points. The good news is there are the versus mode that you can be interested in, but even then again as it stands, if you're not a fan of PvP, that's a mode that you really possibly would not even touch. There's also the issue of lag, which happens every now and then, something that I suppose could be helped with better netcoding. But regardless, I've had tons of fun with the game as a fan of the series, and with that being said, we shall go into the final part of the review. And of course, before we do that, there is one more thing I need to mention. I almost forgot. That's the part where I wish, or rather, if there was a next game, I would like all the monsters to have even more moves, because that makes things more complicated, interesting, and generally more entertaining. Although you guys, Bumco, you guys did great right now. The game is amazing on its own with all the mind games and such. Well, overall, Godzilla, or Godzilla vs. as known in Japan, is an amazing game for a fan, and something I would recommend as long as you are a long-time Godzilla fan, and I mean really long-time Godzilla fan. Because as a fan, you will be able to appreciate all the interesting concepts the movies had throughout the entire series that were all carried over into the game in spirit. And if you are a new fan of Godzilla due to Godzilla 2014, which was really good on its own as well, you may or may not enjoy the game due to your gaming preferences. If you are looking for a giant monster rumble game that you can have fun with your friends online, give it a go. If you enjoy destroying humanity and watching the world burn around in different map types that keeps getting reused and repeated, go ahead and get it as well. I assure you, you will love the destruction you bring and probably enjoy getting a high score at it as well. But if you are looking for neither and is instead looking for an action game with fast-paced action, kaiju fighting, or giant robot kind, you probably should give it a pass. This game is a real Godzilla game and the best thing that I've had for the Godzilla franchise to date. I really enjoyed it, and I know that if you are not a fan, you won't be able to appreciate all the little things that the game has in store for you. But in the event that you still want to give it a try because you find it interesting, do go ahead. There's never a wrong time to get into a brawling with kaijus and having good fun at it too. So the bottom line is, the game is a must-get for Godzilla fans, and probably something you can skip if you're just looking to pass time. Since if you're looking to pass time, I'd rather recommend you Devil May Cry series. This isn't a game that is catered for everyone, but to whom it was targeted at, I believe it did an excellent job on its own. That's it for today for the review of Godzilla PS4, and I hope you guys found the review helpful and informative. Do stay tuned for the rest of the Kaiju Guides we have on this channel if you are interested, and that's all we have for now. How the game? Signing off.